She leaned against the granite counter, spinning my corporate card between her fingers like a poker chip. "Wellness retreat at Sedona Springs," Skylar announced. "Just the girls. Madison found this amazing package deal." She slid the receipt across the kitchen island. $1,847 for 3 days. My expense account bleeding for her peace of mind. I picked up the paper. Corporate policy was crystal clear about personal charges. Zero tolerance. My monthly limit of $2,500 was for legitimate business travel only. "You can't use this card for spa weekends," I said. "Cancel it." "Relax, Austin. You write off business dinners that cost more." She grabbed her yoga mat from the counter. "I teach 6 classes a week. I deserve a break." "Not on Pinnacle Industries' dime. Use your own account." Her smile went sharp around the edges. "What account? I make $2,200 a month teaching downward dog to soccer moms." She shouldered her mat bag. "You want me stressed and miserable? Fine, I'll cancel." She didn't. 2 days later, I checked my corporate statement online during lunch break. The charge had processed. Skylar was loading her Mercedes, my lease payment, with designer luggage when I got home. I walked outside as she slammed the trunk. "You didn't cancel," I said. "Madison already booked everything. Too late for refunds." She clicked her remote twice. The car chirped like it was laughing. "I'll pay you back when I can." "When's that?" "Your next paycheck covers your car insurance." "Don't be petty. It's 3 days." She opened the driver's door. "I'll text you when I get there." "Skylar, cancel the trip or I'm calling Pinnacle's compliance department." She stopped. "You'd risk your job over $1,800? "I'd risk my job to keep it." She studied my face like she was reading fine print. "You're serious?" "Dead serious." "Fine, I'll handle it." She got in the car and backed out without another word. The tires chirped against the asphalt as she disappeared around the corner. She didn't handle it. Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a notification during my client meeting with Westfield Manufacturing. Corporate expense alert. Sedona Springs Resort. 1,847. Location services showed her Mercedes 200 miles north, parked at a luxury spa where my quarterly budget was funding her enlightenment. I called her from the parking lot after the meeting, straight to voicemail, called again, voicemail. Third time, the call cut off after 1 ring. Fourth time, the same. On the 5th attempt, my screen flashed. "This number has been blocked." I stared at my phone. 23 years old when we met at that Phoenix Community College mixer. 34 now. 11 years of marriage, and she just cut the only line that mattered. I set the phone down and opened my laptop in the front seat. Pinnacle's Employee Handbook, Section 12, Misuse of Corporate Assets. Immediate termination for fraudulent charges. No exceptions, no appeals. My territory generated $2.3 million annually. My expense account funded legitimate business travel to industrial sites across Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. Not my wife's spiritual awakening. I picked up my phone and scrolled through her contacts until I found Madison Webb, yoga instructor, wellness coach, and the architect of every expensive mistake Skylar had made in the past 2 years. Madison sold crystals and consciousness to women with too much time and too little sense. Madison answered on the second ring, her voice floating like incense. "Austin, how are you, hun?" "Good, Madison. Is Skylar around?" "We're at the spa. She's getting a chakra alignment. Did you need something?" The irony wasn't lost on me. Skylar was realigning her energy with my stolen corporate funds while I sat in a parking lot calculating whether this would cost me my career. "Tell her I'm filing for divorce," I said, "and tell her to enjoy the retreat she paid for with my corporate card. It's going to be expensive." Silence. Then, "Wait, what? Austin, you can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. She blocked my number and disappeared with my company's money. That's theft and destruction of communication. Tell her she has 24 hours to contact me through your phone, or she can talk to my attorney." "Austin, you're overreacting. It's just a spa weekend." "It's corporate fraud. And Madison, when you tell her, make sure she understands I'm not negotiating." I hung up. 15 minutes later, my phone started ringing. Unknown number, then another, then another. 15 missed calls in 30 minutes, each from a different area code. Skylar burning through every phone she could borrow, trying to reach the man she'd blocked an hour earlier. I didn't answer. Instead, I drove to our townhouse community and parked in front of our building. The place looked different somehow. Same desert landscaping, same assigned parking spaces, same community pool where neighbors gathered on weekends. But something had shifted. Maybe it was knowing that the woman inside had just declared war on our marriage with a credit card and a blocked number. I opened my filing cabinet in the home office and pulled out our joint account statements. Skylar Pierce, part-time yoga instructor. $2,200 monthly income. Total savings. $5,600. Accumulated over 3 years of careful budgeting on my part. No investments, no backup plan beyond my $88,000 salary and corporate benefits package. I logged into our banking app and started separating finances. Her account, $340 balance. My account, everything else. I removed her access to my direct deposit, my credit cards, my expense account. 11 years of financial partnership. Dissolved in 20 minutes of digital paperwork. My phone buzzed with a text from Madison's number. "Austin, please pick up. Skylar is crying. She wants to come home." I typed back, "She should have thought about that before she committed corporate theft." Another text. "She'll pay it back. She didn't know it was that serious." She knew. That's why she blocked me. Another text. "Please don't do this. She loves you." I turned my phone face down and opened a bottle of beer from my refrigerator. Love doesn't steal from your employer and cut communication when confronted. Love respects boundaries and consequences. What Skylar felt wasn't love. It was comfort with my resources and irritation with my oversight. Saturday morning, I drove to our townhouse management office and requested new key cards. Security concern, I explained to the property manager. Potential unauthorized access. The manager, a no-nonsense woman named Patricia, programmed new cards and deactivated the old ones without asking questions she didn't need answered. "Everything okay, Mr. Pierce?" she asked, handing me the new cards. "Haven't seen Mrs. Pierce around the community lately. She's taking some time to figure things out," I said. "Might be a while." She nodded professionally. "You need anything else, just let us know. We've got your updated contact information on file." Walking back to my building, I ran into Carlos Reeves, my neighbor from 2 doors down. Retired Army sergeant, now worked maintenance for the community. His wife Sophia taught ESL classes at the community center. They were the kind of neighbors who actually knew their neighbors. "Solo weekend?" Carlos asked, nodding toward my empty parking space where Skylar's Mercedes usually sat. "Looks that way," I said. "She's on a girls' trip." "Sophia's got leftover tamales if you want real food instead of whatever bachelors eat," he offered. "She always cooks for an army." "Thanks, Carlos. I might take you up on that." He studied my face with the kind of attention that comes from years of reading people under pressure. "You good, man?" "I'm figuring some things out," I said. "But yeah, I'm good." Sunday afternoon, I packed Skylar's belongings. Yoga mats, essential oils, crystal collections, meditation cushions, designer clothes that cost more than most people's monthly rent. I folded everything carefully and loaded it into storage boxes. No anger, no theatrics. Just methodical preparation for a life that made sense. The doorbell rang as I was taping the last box. Linda Garrett, Skylar's mother, stood on my doorstep wearing the expression of someone who'd been chosen to deliver bad news. "What happened?" she asked, looking at the boxes stacked by the entry. She used my corporate expense account for a spa retreat, then blocked my number when I asked her to cancel it, I explained. "I filed for divorce this morning." Linda stepped back like I'd announced a terminal diagnosis. "Austin, she's impulsive. Give her time to fix this." She had time. She chose to block me instead. I loaded the first box into her arms. "She can arrange to get the rest of her things through you. She'll be devastated. She'll be employed. I suggest she find full-time work." Linda carried the box to her car, shaking her head. 11 years, Austin. You're throwing away 11 years over money. I'm protecting 11 years of building something from someone who wanted to tear it down." I handed her another box. Money is just the method she chose. Monday morning, my phone rang during my drive to the Pinnacle Industries office. Madison's number, again. I answered using hands-free. "Austin, she wants to meet. She'll apologize. She'll pay everything back." "Too late," I said, merging onto I-10. I reported the fraudulent charge to Pinnacle this morning. They're investigating. "You what?" Corporate compliance doesn't negotiate. Neither do I. I took the Camelback Road exit toward my office. Section 12 of the Employee Handbook is very specific about misuse of corporate assets. Termination is mandatory. You're destroying her life over money. She destroyed her life when she stole money and blocked communication. I'm just filing paperwork. I hung up and called Bennett and Associates, the law firm that handled Pinnacle's legal work. I'd met Tom Bennett at several corporate events. Good attorney, specializing in employment, law, and divorce proceedings. Austin Pierce, I said when his secretary connected me. I need to discuss filing for divorce, preferably today. Can you be here at 2 o'clock? I'll be there. The consultation lasted an hour. Arizona's community property laws, 11 years of marriage, one significant complication. Skylar Pierce had no assets to divide. The house was mine before marriage, purchased 2 years before we met. The cars were leases in my name. The retirement accounts, investment portfolios, and business assets were mine. She keeps her personal belongings and half the marital savings, Bennett explained, reviewing our financial documents. That comes to $2,800. And that's it? She waived alimony rights in your prenuptial agreement. Smart move on your part. He closed the file. This should be straightforward. Uncontested divorce, assuming she cooperates. And if she doesn't, then it takes longer and costs more, but the outcome doesn't change. Tuesday evening, I was grilling chicken on my patio when Sophia knocked on the sliding door. She held a covered dish and wore the expression of someone delivering both food and intelligence. Carlos told me to bring this, she said, handing me the dish, and to ask if you're okay. I'm fine, Sophia. Thank you for asking. Skylar came by this afternoon. She wanted to know if we'd seen you. I set the dish on the patio table. What did you tell her? That it wasn't our business where you were. She folded her arms. But Austin, she seemed desperate, like someone who just realized they made a big mistake. Probably because she did. What happened? Carlos said you seemed different, more settled, he said. I looked at my neighbor, this woman who'd brought me food and honest conversation. She stole from my company and cut off communication when I called her on it. Some lines don't get uncrossed. Sophia nodded slowly. Carlos always says respect is like credit. Once someone proves they're high risk, you don't extend it again. Smart woman, I said. Carlos picked well. Sophia smiled. He says the same about you. Says you handle pressure like someone who's seen real problems. She glanced toward the sliding door. You eating alone again tonight? Getting used to it. Don't get too used to it. Community barbecue this Saturday at the pool area. You should come. I'll think about it. Don't think, just come, bring something to grill. She paused at the door. And Austin? Whatever Skylar did, it's her loss. Some people don't realize what they have until they don't have it anymore. Wednesday morning brought another revelation. I was reviewing client files at the office when my phone rang. Pinnacle's HR director, Susan Walsh. Austin, we need to discuss the corporate expense situation. My stomach tightened. Of course. When works for you? Now, if possible, conference room B. I walked across the office building like a man heading to his own execution. Susan sat at the conference table with a stack of paperwork and the expression of someone who dealt with this before. The charge to Sedona Springs Resort, she began without preamble. Can you explain it? My wife used my corporate card without authorization for a personal spa trip. I reported it as fraudulent the moment I discovered it. Susan nodded, making notes. And you've attempted to resolve this directly with your wife? She blocked my phone number when I asked her to cancel the trip. We're currently filing for divorce. I see. Susan closed the file. Austin, your record with the company is exemplary. Your territory performance is outstanding. But corporate policy on expense misuse is non-negotiable. I understand. However, she continued, the fact that you self-reported immediately shows good faith. We're prepared to accept repayment of the full amount and consider this matter closed, provided it doesn't happen again. Relief flooded through me like cold water. It won't happen again. See that it doesn't. And Austin, change your card number, today. That evening, I did something I hadn't done in months. I walked around the community, past the pool where kids splashed while their parents grilled dinner, past the playground where Sophia supervised neighborhood children learning English through games, past the community center where Carlos led a veterans support group every Wednesday. This place had become home over the past 3 years, not because of the mortgage I paid or the lease agreements I'd signed, because of the people who actually knew my name and cared enough to ask how I was doing. Saturday arrived with the kind of desert sunshine that makes Phoenix tolerable in October. The community barbecue was already in full swing when I arrived at the pool area with a package of bratwurst and a cooler of beer. Carlos waved me over to the grills. "There he is. Thought you might skip." "Sophia's orders," I said. "She doesn't strike me as someone you ignore." 23 years of marriage taught me that lesson. He gestured toward the crowd. "Good turnout today. Half the complex showed up." I looked around at my neighbors, the Johnsons from Building C setting up a folding table, the Martinez family arranging chairs in the shade, retirees and young families, military veterans and college students, people who chose to build community instead of just buying property. "Austin," Sophia called from the picnic area. "Come meet my sister Rosa. She's visiting from Tucson." I was walking towards Sophia when I saw the silver Mercedes pull into the visitor parking area. My stomach dropped as Skylar got out of the car, wearing a sundress and oversized sunglasses like she was arriving at a resort instead of a confrontation. She surveyed the crowd with the confidence of someone who thought charm could override consequences. Then she saw me standing by the grill, surrounded by people who actually knew what had happened. Carlos noticed my change in expression and followed my gaze. "That her?" "That's her." "Want me to handle it?" "No, but thanks." Skylar walked across the pool deck like she owned it, nodding at neighbors who remembered her from better days. When she reached the grill area, she smiled at Carlos, and then focused on me with laser intensity. "Austin, we need to talk." "No, we don't," I said, not raising my voice. "Our attorneys can talk." "Don't be dramatic. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Carlos stepped closer. "You heard him, lady. Move along." Skylar's smile faltered. She hadn't expected witnesses who weren't impressed by her performance. "This is between my husband and me," she said to Carlos. "Your ex-husband," I corrected. "And everything between us is between our lawyers now." Sophia appeared at my elbow with the timing of someone who'd been watching from across the pool. "Is there a problem here?" "No problem," Skylar said, her voice taking on an edge. "Just trying to have a private conversation with Austin." "Doesn't look like he wants a conversation," Sophia observed. "Maybe you should respect that." Skylar's composure cracked. "You people don't know what you're talking about. This is about our marriage, our life together." "Your life together?" Carlos laughed. "Lady, you stole from his company and blocked his phone. That's not marriage, that's fraud." A circle had formed around us, not hostile, but definitely attentive. Neighbors who'd seen me walking alone for weeks, who'd brought food and asked careful questions. People who understood the difference between community and performance. "I made a mistake," Skylar said, her voice rising. "People make mistakes, but you don't throw away 11 years because someone used the wrong credit card." "You didn't use the wrong card," I said quietly. "You stole from my employer and cut communication when I called you on it. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." "So what? You're just done? You won't even try to work this out?" "I tried to work it out. You blocked my number." Rosa, Sophia's sister, had been listening with the attention of someone learning neighborhood dynamics. "Wait," she said. "You blocked his phone and then came here to demand he talk to you?" Skylar turned toward Rosa, with desperation replacing charm. "You don't understand. We had problems, but we can fix this." "No," Rosa said firmly. "I understand perfectly. You blocked his communication and stole from his work. In my family, that's called burning bridges." The crowd murmured agreement. These weren't strangers being polite. These were neighbors who'd watched me walk around the complex alone for weeks, who'd seen the empty parking space where her car used to sit, who'd brought food and asked careful questions about my well-being. Skylar looked around at faces that weren't buying her performance. "This is ridiculous. Austin, you're being vindictive. Everyone makes financial mistakes." "Mistakes?" Carlos stepped forward. "Lady, you didn't accidentally use his card. You planned a trip, booked it, and then blocked him when he objected. That's not a mistake. That's strategy. You people don't know our relationship." "We know enough," Sophia said. We know he's been eating dinner alone for weeks while you were off finding yourself with his money. I set down my beer and faced Skylar directly. The crowd went quiet, waiting to see how this would resolve. You want to talk? I said. Fine, here's what I have to say. You had access to everything I built, my income, my credit, my trust, my partnership. You used that access to fund your lifestyle and ignore my boundaries. When I asked for basic respect, communication, and financial honesty, you blocked me and disappeared. I'm not finished. My voice stayed calm, but carried across the pool area. You didn't just take money. You cut the only line that matters in a marriage, communication. You declared that my concerns weren't worth responding to, that my career wasn't worth protecting, that I wasn't worth respecting. Skylar's sunglasses couldn't hide the tears starting. I was angry. People do stupid things when they're angry. People who love each other work through anger. They don't eliminate the other person's ability to reach them. I picked up my beer. You made your choice. I'm making mine. So that's it? 11 years and you just walk away? You walked away when you blocked my number. I'm just changing the locks. Carlos clapped slowly, once, then twice. Others joined in. Not mockery, respect, recognition of someone handling a bad situation with dignity instead of drama. Skylar looked around at the applause, her face crumbling. You're all crazy. Austin, this isn't over. Yes, it is, I said. And Skylar, don't come back here. This is a private community. You don't live here anymore. She left without another word, her heels clicking across the concrete like punctuation marks ending a sentence she should have finished months ago. The divorce proceedings moved with the efficiency of uncontested paperwork. Skylar, through her attorney, accepted the settlement terms without negotiation. She took her personal belongings, half our savings account, $2,800, and a harsh lesson about the cost of disrespect. I kept the house, the business assets, the retirement accounts, and my self-respect. More importantly, I kept my job. Pinnacle's HR department marked the matter closed after I repaid the $1,847 from personal funds. My territory performance remained strong, and my corporate card carried new numbers and stricter internal controls. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I was loading equipment samples into my company SUV outside a client's facility in Tempe when a pickup truck pulled up beside me. The woman who got out wore work boots, cargo pants, and the kind of confident smile that comes from solving problems for a living. You must be Austin Pierce, she said, extending her hand. Brooke Martinez, equipment procurement for Westfield Manufacturing. I've got questions about those industrial sensors you recommended. Business or personal questions? I asked, shaking her hand. Business for now, she said, but coffee might help clarify the technical specifications. We kept it professional for 3 weeks. Coffee meetings to discuss equipment specifications, site visits to review installation requirements, follow-up calls about delivery schedules. Brooke understood corporate policies, expense account boundaries, and the value of clear communication. When she traveled for work, she sent arrival confirmations. When she planned personal time, she budgeted with her own procurement specialist salary. When she said she'd call, she called. Your ex-wife tried to contact me through LinkedIn, she mentioned one evening over dinner at a restaurant we'd both paid for ourselves. What did she say? Asked if I knew how to reach you, wanted to explain some things about your divorce. What did you tell her? That I don't pass messages for people who block their husbands and steal corporate funds. Brooke cut her steak with precision. Some bridges burn themselves? I laughed. Harsh. Accurate, she said. People who respect boundaries don't need intermediaries to communicate. Skylar made contact attempts for months through various channels. Voicemails, through mutual, friends who quickly stopped returning her calls, LinkedIn messages that went unanswered, holiday cards that went straight into the trash. Each message carried the same theme: loneliness, regret, and subtle requests for reconciliation that revealed she missed the security I provided, not the respect I required. Carlos saw me loading hiking gear one Saturday morning and wandered over with his coffee. New adventure? He asked, nodding toward my backpack. Brooke and I are hitting South Mountain. She knows trails I've never seen. She seems solid. Sophia approves, and Sophia doesn't approve of anyone. High praise. Sophia always says you can tell a person's character by how they treat other people's boundaries. Carlos sipped his coffee. Brooke respects your schedule, your work, your neighbors. That's someone who understands partnership. Different from what I had before. Better, Carlos said. Sophia and I watched your marriage for 3 years. Skylar treated you like a resource to be managed, not a person to be respected. I nodded. Took me 11 years to figure that out. Better late than never. And Austin? You look like a man who solved a problem instead of creating new ones. That evening, Brooke and I walked around the community after our hike, past the pool where the barbecue had happened, past the community center where Sophia still taught ESL classes, past the parking spaces where neighbors who actually talked to each other gathered on weekend mornings. Nice place, Brooke said, watching kids play basketball while their parents grilled dinner. Feels like actual community instead of just shared zip codes. It is. Took a crisis to make me appreciate it. Crises have a way of showing you who's really in your corner. She squeezed my hand. Carlos and Sophia seem protective of you. They watch me go through the worst of it. People who see you handle problems with dignity tend to respect the outcome. My phone buzzed with a notification. Corporate expense report approved for next week's business trip to Denver. Legitimate travel, proper documentation, clear boundaries, everything functioning the way it should. Work? Brooke asked. Work, I confirmed. 3-day client visit. Want to come? You mentioned needing to check on that Boulder account. I'll book my own flight, she said automatically. Keep it clean. Perfect. 6 months later, I was organizing tools in my garage when my phone rang. Unknown number with a local area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Austin? Skylar's voice uncertain and smaller than I remembered. What do you need, Skylar? I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not just, I know it's too late, but I needed you to know I understand what I did. I set down the wrench I was holding. Okay. I've been going to counseling, working on myself, understanding why I thought I could just take things, take you for granted. That's good. For you, I mean. I miss you, she said quietly. I miss how safe our life was. I know I ruined it, but I miss feeling secure. There it was, the truth she'd probably never intended to reveal. She missed the security I provided, not the respect I required. She missed the resources, not the relationship. Skylar, I hope you find what you're looking for, but it's not going to be with me. I know, Can I ask you something? Are you happy? I looked around my garage, tools organized the way I liked them, weekend plans that didn't depend on someone else's mood, a relationship built on mutual respect instead of financial dependency, a community that knew my character because they had watched me handle adversity with dignity. Yeah, I said, I'm happy. Good, you deserve that. A pause. I won't call again. Take care of yourself, Skylar. I hung up and went back to organizing tools. 5 minutes later, Brooke's truck pulled into the driveway. She got out carrying coffee for both of us, and a smile that meant she'd figured out the equipment problem she'd been working on all week. Successful morning? She asked, handing me a cup. Productive, I said. Got the garage sorted and closed an old account. Business or personal? Personal, very closed. She nodded and surveyed my tool organization. You alphabetized your socket sets. Seemed like the right time for a complete reset. I respect that level of precision. She sipped her coffee. Ready for the hardware store? I need brackets for my project truck. Ready. What kind of brackets? The kind that hold things together properly instead of falling apart under pressure. I laughed. Good policy. We drove to the hardware store like people who understood the value of building things that last. No drama, no games, no testing boundaries to see what we could get away with. Just two adults who respected each other's time, money, and communication. At the store, I ran into Jamie, my sales team leader, browsing the electrical section. Austin, how's the new life treating you? Can't complain. You remember Brooke? Equipment procurement specialist, Jamie said, shaking her hand. You two make sense together. Both of you understand industrial standards. High praise, Brooke said. Industrial standards don't allow for failure modes. Exactly, Jamie replied. Unlike some people's relationship standards, walking to the truck with our purchases, I realized something had shifted, not just in my relationship status or living situation, but in how I saw myself. For 11 years, I'd been a man trying to manage someone else's poor choices. Now, I was a man who enforced clear standards and attracted people who respected them. "Penny for your thoughts," Brooke said, loading brackets into her truck bed. "Just thinking about standards. How when you stop compromising them, you attract people who meet them instead of people who resent them. Engineering principle," she said. "When you design systems to tolerate failure, you get more failure. When you design them to require precision, you get precision. And when people know you won't accept sloppy work, they either improve or they find someone else to disappoint." That night, we grilled dinner on my patio while Carlos and Sophia entertained their grandchildren at the community pool, kids laughing, neighbors talking, the sound of people who chose to build something together instead of just existing in the same space. "Good life," Brooke said, watching the scene. "Earned life," I corrected. "Built by making the hard choices and sticking with them." My phone sat silent on the patio table. No block numbers trying to reach me. No desperate messages from people who'd confused my resources with my respect. No emergency calls from women who'd spent years treating my boundaries like suggestions. Just the quiet satisfaction of a man who'd learned the difference between keeping the peace and maintaining his principles. Who'd discovered that respect isn't something you negotiate for. It's something you require. And when you require it consistently, you attract people capable of providing it. The sun set behind the mountains, painting the desert sky in shades of orange and purple. Tomorrow would bring new business challenges, new opportunities, new chances to build something worthwhile with someone who understood the value of building things that last. But tonight, I was content to sit on my own patio with a woman who respected boundaries, in a community that had watched me handle crisis with dignity, and decided I was worth supporting. Some doors close for good reasons. Sometimes that's exactly what you need.